Hello viewers, welcome to my channel. I'm Hasham Ali Khan. So now I'm going to continue the problems on standard costing variance analysis. Already 10 problems we have completed in the previous video. Now I'm going to start the 11th problem from this video onwards. So I told you earlier, all the problems on variance analysis are dependent on the formulas. I have given the list of the formulas. I have explained completely in the first video of standard costing and variance analysis. So if you are perfect on the formulas, then only you can understand these problems. So my suggestion, if you have not watched the earlier video, go to the playlist of my channel, select the subject Managerial Accounting, select the topic standard costing and variance analysis. Watch the first video, get the command on all the formulas of material variances, labor variances, overhead variances and sales variances. After watching that video, definitely you can be able to remember the formula. You can be able to understand the formula and easily you can follow these problems. So now I am going to start the next problem, that is problem number 11. So before starting the problem, I expect my viewers to have a printout of the problems, which I have given in the link under my description. So take a printout and keep it ready before start watching these problems. Now 11th problem I am reading out. From the following details of a brass foundry company, calculate material cost variance, material price variance, material mix variance, material yield variance and material usage variance. All the 5 material variances we have to calculate. MPV, MCV, MPV, MUV, MMV and MYV. All these formulas I have already given. Now the data given is material standard mix. First of all, data is given regarding standard. Material A 500 kg and material B 400, material C 300. Total input standard 1200. Normal loss 10% of input, 10% of 1200, 120. So output should be 1080. And the standard price is 6 rupees, 3.75, 3 rupees. Standard cost, multiply 500 into 6, 3000, 400 into 3.75, 1500, 300 into 3, 900. So total standard cost is 5400. Next page, actual mix. The actual mixture is given. Material A 400, material B 500, material C 400. Total 1300. Standard input was 1200. Actual input is 1300. Actual loss is 220. The output is 1080. So you can see here the output is 1080 standard and 1080 actual. But the input is different. The standard input is 1200. By putting 1200, we are getting 1080 standard. Whereas actually we are putting 1300 and we are getting 1080. So actual price 6 rupees, 3.60, 2.80. Multiply the actual quantity and actual price to get actual cost. 400 into 6, 2400. 500 into 3.6, 1800. 400 into 2.8, 1120. Total actual cost is 5320. This is the complete information given. We are given 3 material A, B, C. We are given the standard mix and we are given the actual mix. So first of all, we'll make the table. Whatever data is given in the problem, we put it in the table. Material A, B, C, standard, actual. In standard 3 columns, SQ, SP, SC. Actual again 3 columns, AQ, AP and AC. That's it. In the problem it is given 500, 400, 300, total 1200 standard quantity. Standard prices are given, standard cost is given 5400 given in the problem. Simply I have taken from the problem. Now actual 400, 500, 400, 1300 is the actual input, actual quantity. Then actual price 6, 3.6, 2.8. Actual cost is given 5320. Whatever is given in the problem, I have put it in the table. Now standard output is 1080. Actual output is also 1080. 1080. Now standard cost of material per kilogram of output. This standard material cost per kilogram of output is required for calculating MYV. For calculating material yield variance, we require standard material cost per unit of output. What is the formula? Standard cost by standard output. Standard cost by standard output. We'll get standard material cost per unit of output. What is the standard cost? 5,400. What is the standard output? 1,080. So 5,400 divided by 1080, 5 rupees per unit. This working note, we have calculated 5 rupees is the standard material cost per unit of output. This is required for calculating MYV, material yield variance. Now first MCV, material cost variance. SC minus AC, standard cost minus actual cost. Standard cost is 5,400. Actual cost is 5,320. So 5,400 minus 5,320, 80 favorable. If you get positive variance, write F, favorable. If you get negative variance, write A, adverse. So here 5,400 minus 5,320, you are getting positive. So favorable 80. That's it. One variance completed. MCV. Now MPV, material price variance. Actual quantity into standard price minus actual price. See here, one trick you have to remember is when you are calculating price, in bracket you should take price. Bracket you should take SP minus AP. Outside the bracket you will take actual quantity AQ. In this way we can remember when we calculate MPV, actual quantity AQ into SP minus AP. Now all the data we are having here, A, B, C. What is the actual quantity? 400, 500, 400. I have taken 400, 500, 400. SP, standard price, 6, 3.753. 6, 3.753. Actual price, 6, 3.6, 2.8. 6, 3.6, 2.8. I have taken all the values from the table. Now simply you calculate 6 minus 6, 0. 0 is multiplied by 400, you will get 0. Anything multiplied by 0, you will get 0. Similarly, 3.75 minus 3.6. In bracket, if you get positive value, it is a favorable. Here 3.6 minus 3.75 minus 3.6, you are getting positive value. Into 500, you will get 75 favorable. Similarly, 3 minus 2.8, you are getting positive. 3 minus 2.8, you will get 0.2 positive. Into 400, 80 favorable. So we are getting 75 favorable, 80 favorable, both are favorable. So add up, 155 favorable is the MPV, material price variance. Now material usage variance, quantity variance. Usage means quantity. So in bracket you should get quantity SQ minus AQ in bracket. So in bracket SQ minus AQ. Outside the bracket standard price. Standard price into SQ minus AQ. This is the formula for MUV. So ABC, all the three types of material. Then standard price. Standard price was given 6, 3.753. 6, 3.753. Standard quantity. Standard quantity of 543. 500, 400, 300. Actual quantity 454. 400, 500, 400. Now simply 500 minus 400. 100. 100 into 6. 600. 600 favorable. Because in bracket we are having positive value. Similarly 400 minus 500. You are getting minus 100. In bracket you are getting negative. So adverse. 100 into 3.75, 375. 375 adverse. Here it is 3.75. Now 300 minus 400, again you are getting adverse. 100 into 3, 300 adverse. Now favorable 600, 375 adverse, 300 adverse. So what you will get? Adverse you deduct because adverse is negative. Adverse is negative variance and positive is favorable. Favorable is positive. So what you do? 600 minus 375 minus 300. You will get minus 75. Take the calculator and see. 600 minus 375 minus 300. You are getting minus 75. That means adverse. MUV 75 adverse. Now mixed variance. Material mixed variance. MMV. The formula is SP. Standard price into revised SQ minus AQ. Revised SQ minus AQ. So how to find out revised standard quantity? Take the total of actual mix, divide by total of standard mix into standard quantity. Mix, the mix ka matlab ye, the total of all the material. The total of all the material is called mix. So this is the total of actual mix, 1300. And 1200 is the total of standard mix. Actual mix 1300, standard mix 1200. So here A, 1300 divided by 1200 into standard quantity. What is the standard quantity of A? 500. Standard quantity of A is 500. So 1300 actual mix, 1200 standard mix, and 500 standard quantity, 541.67. This is the revised standard quantity. Similarly, B. Same, 1300 by 1200 into 400. Standard quantity is 400, 433.33. C, 1300 by 1200 into 300. 300 is the standard quantity. So I get 325. This is a revised SQ. Now we substitute. MMV is equal to SP. What is the standard price? 3.753. 3.753. What is the revised SQ? Revised SQ are 541.67, 433.33, 325. Minus AQ. What is the actual quantity? 454. 400, 500, 400. Now simply in bracket, 541.67 minus 400, you are getting positive, favorable, into 6, 850 favorable. 433.33 minus 500, you are getting negative, that means adverse, into 3.75, 250 adverse. 325 minus 400, again you are getting negative, adverse, into 3, 225 adverse. So 850 favorable, 250 adverse, 225 adverse. So 850 minus 250 minus 225, 375 favorable. You are getting positive, so it is favorable. So MMV over. Last one, MYV, material yield variance. Material yield variance formula, standard material cost per unit of output, already we have calculated here. For this purpose only we have calculated earlier, standard material cost per unit of output, 5 rupees. We got it. Actual yield, the actual output is 1080. 1080 is actual output. We need standard yield. Standard yield means the standard yield from actual input. Standard yield from actual input. This is the standard yield from standard input. This is the standard output from standard input. Standard input is 1200. So according to standard input 1200, we are getting output of 1080. But we want what is the standard yield from actual input. The actual input is 1300. For 1300 of actual input, how much should be the standard output? That we have to calculate. That we have to find out. So here, for an output of 1200, we are getting a standard yield of 1080. From 1200 input, we are getting 1080. From 1300 input, how much would be the output? From 1300 of actual input, how much is the output? So 1300 by 1200 into 1080, 1170. So 1170 is the standard yield from actual input. Standard yield from actual input. So MYV, material cost per unit of output 5 rupees. Actual yield 1080. Standard yield from actual input is 1170. So 450 adverse. So we got all the 5 variances: MCV, MPV, MUV, MMV. Now we want to verify whether we have done correctly or not. The verification. MCV is equal to MPV plus MUV. So how much is MPV? 155 favorable. How much is MUV? 75 adverse. So 155 favorable plus 75 adverse. Adverse means minus. So 155 minus 75, you are getting 80 favorable. Check, do you have 80 favorable MCV or not? Yes, 80 favorable MCV. That means our calculations are correct. One more verification. MUV is equal to MMV plus MYV. MMV, how much is MMV? 375 favorable. MYV 450 adverse. Adverse means minus. So 375 minus 450. 375 minus 450, you are getting 75 adverse. What is this 75 adverse? MUV. Check MUV, do we have 75 adverse? Yes. MUV is 75 adverse. That means our calculations are 100% correct. So this is the end of problem number 11. Now problem number 12. See the 12th problem. The standard material cost of for 100 kilogram of chemical X is made up of. The ultimate finished product we are making, final product we are making chemical X. For making chemical X, we are using three different material. The three different material are chemical A, chemical B, chemical C. So chemical A, B, C are the material. By combining these three A, B, C chemicals, we are making a finished chemical. The finished product chemical X. तो 100 किलोग्राम chemical X बनाने के लिए we require chemical A 30 kg, chemical B 40 kg, chemical B 80 kg at the rate of 4 rupees per kg, 5 rupees per kg, 6 rupees. This is the standard. So standard quantity is given 30 kg, 40 kg, 80 kg. By mixing this standard quantity, we are getting standard output. The standard output of 100 kilogram of chemical X. In a batch of 500 kilogram of chemical X was produced from a mix of. The actual output made was 500 kilogram of X. So to make 500 kilogram of X, we have used chemical A 140 kilogram at a cost of 588. So this 588 is not per unit, per kilogram. It is a total for 140 kilogram. For 140 kilogram of chemical A, the total cost is 588. Similarly, chemical B 220 kilogram, and the cost of 220 kilogram is 1056, and chemical C 440 kilogram at a cost of rupees 2860. Calculate all material variances. Here in this problem, the new point given is the actual output is 500 kilogram of chemical X. For making 500 kilogram of chemical X, material A, B, C, how much kilogram required is given in the problem. Whereas standard is given for making 100 kilogram of chemical X. So both are different. Actual is given for making 500 kilogram of X. Standard is given for making 100 kilogram of X. We cannot compare directly because the output is different. The standard is given for an output of 100 kilogram. Standard is given for making an output of 100 kilogram. Actual is given for making an actual output of 500 kilogram. Make both 100 or make both 500. One should not be 100, the second should not be 500. Both should be 500. So we'll make both 500, right? So first of all, calculation of material variances, chemical ABC, standard SQ, SP, SC, actual AQ, AP, SC. Now, first of all, we'll take the data for actual. For making 500 kilogram of chemical X, how much kilogram of chemical A is required? Taken 140 kilogram of chemical A is taken at a total cost of 588. So this 140 kilogram of chemical A, the total cost is 588. So 588 total cost. So per kilogram you can divide 588 divided by 140 per kilogram, 4 rupees 20 paisa. 4.20 is the per kilogram price, actual price. Similarly, chemical B used was 220 kilogram at a cost of 1056 given in the problem. Now divide 1056 divided by 220, 4.8. Chemical C 440 kilogram at a total cost of 2860. Now divide 2860 divided by 440, 6.50. So total is 800 kilogram total mixture, actual mixture, 800 kilogram we have used for making an output of 500 kilogram of chemical X, and the total cost comes to 4504. Actual we have taken. Now in the problem, standard is given, but standard is given for making 100 kilogram. We don't require 100, we want 500. Because the actual data is taken for 500 kilogram of output, the standard should also be 500 kilogram of output. In the problem it is not given, it is given for 100 kilogram. So here I have converted. The actual output is 500 kilogram. Standard quantity for actual output. We are calculating standard quantity for making actual output. Now watch. For an output of 100 kilogram, standard quantity of material A is 30 kilogram given in the problem. The standard quantity is 30 kilogram. For an actual output of 500 kilogram, how much standard quantity of A? So for making 100 kilogram of output, 30 kilogram of A is required. For making 500 kilogram of output, how much standard quantity of A is required? So 500 by 100 into 30, 150 kilogram. 150 kilogram is the standard quantity of chemical A required to make 500 kilogram of output. So this 150 I am taking here. Similarly B, 500 divided by 100 into 40. In the problem it is given 40 kilogram of B is required for making 100 kilogram of output. But we want for 500. So 500 divided by 100 into 40, 200 kilogram. Take 200. C, in the problem it is given 80 kilogram is required. 80 kilogram of C is required for making 100 kilogram of output. But we want for 500. So 500 by 100 into 80, 400 kilogram of C. Now total of standard mix is 750. And the standard price is given in the problem 456. Multiply 150 into 4, 600, 200 into 5, 400 into 6. Total standard cost 4,000. That's all. So in this problem the new point is the output is different. The standard is given for an output of 100 kilogram. Actual is given for an output of 500 kilogram. So actual as it is we have taken. But standard we have converted from 100 kilogram to 500 kilogram like this. Now we have taken standard material cost per unit of output. Standard material cost per unit of output is required for calculating material yield variance, just like the previous problem. For calculating MYV, we need this one. Standard cost divided by standard output. The standard cost is 400 and 4,000. Here you can see. Standard cost is 4,000 and standard output is 500. The 4,000 rupees standard material cost is required for making 500 kilogram of output. So 4,000 divided by 500, 8 rupees per kg. So standard material cost per kilogram of output is 8 rupees. Now standard yield from actual input. See here, the input for in standard, by using 750 kilogram mixture, we are going to get an output of 500 kilogram. For 750 kilogram of standard input, we are getting an output of 500 kilogram. But actual input is how much? 800. The actual input is 800. So if we put 800, how much should be the output? How much should be the standard yield? That's where standard yield from actual input. For an input of 750 kilogram, this 750, we are going to get 500 kilogram. So for an actual input of 800 kilogram, this is actual input of 800 kilogram. How much is the standard yield? So 800 by 750 into 500, you will get 533.33 kilogram. This is the standard yield for an actual output. Standard yield for an actual output. That's all. Now we'll calculate one by one. First one, MCV, material cost variance. Standard cost minus actual cost. What is the standard cost? 4,000. What is the actual cost? 4,504. So 4,000 minus 4,504, 504 adverse. One variance completed. Cost variance. Price variance. Price variance, MPV, that is actual quantity into standard price minus actual price. Actual quantity into standard price minus actual price. So A, actual quantity are 140, 220, 440. 140, 220, 440. Standard price 456. We have taken 456. Actual price 4.2, 4.8, 6.4. So first of all, you solve in bracket. So 4 minus 4.2, you are getting negative. That means adverse. So 4 minus 4.2 into 140, 28 adverse. 5 minus 4.8 into 220, 44 favorable. Because in bracket positive. 6 minus 6.5 adverse into 440, 220. Now 28 adverse. Adverse means minus. So minus 28 plus 44 minus 220. Wherever adverse is there, press minus. It is a minus figure. So minus 28 plus 44 minus 220. You will get 204 adverse. 204 adverse is MPV. MUV. Material usage variance, SP, standard price into SQ minus AQ. Standard price 456 given. Standard quantity are 150, 200, 400. 150, 200. Actual quantity 140, 220, 440. So here 40 favorable, 100 adverse, 240 adverse. So 300 adverse is the MUV. 3 variances we have completed. Now MMV, material mix variance. Material mix means standard price into revised SQ minus AQ. Revised SQ minus AQ. Thus, revised SQ is equal to total of actual mix divided by total of standard mix into standard quantity, just like the previous problem. So, total of actual mix is 800. Total of standard mix is 750. So, 800 by 750 into standard quantity 150. You will get 160 kilogram revised SQ of A. Revised SQ of B, 800 by 750 into 200, 213.33. C, 800 by 750 into 400, 426.67 kilogram. These are the revised SQ. Now easily we can find out MMV, material mix variance. Standard price are 456. I have taken 456. Revised SQ 160, 213.33, 426.67 minus AQ 140, 220, 440. Now simplify. 160 minus 140 into 4. If you get negative, adverse, you are getting favorable, 80 favorable. 213.33 minus 220 into 5, you are getting negative, adverse, 33.33. Similarly, 426.67 minus 440 into 6, 80 adverse. Take the total, 33.33 adverse. This is the MMV. Lastly, MYV, material yield variance. Material yield variance. Standard material cost per unit into actual yield minus standard yield. The standard material cost per unit 8 rupees, already we have calculated here. Actual yield is 500 kilogram, actual output. And standard yield from actual input, is 533.33. So substitute 500 minus 533.33 into 8, 266.67 adverse. This is the yield variance. We got all the 5 variances. Now we want to confirm whether our calculations are correct or not. Verification. MCV is equal to MPV plus MUV. MCV is equal to MPV. How much is MPV? 204 adverse. And MUV 300 adverse. So 204 adverse plus 300 adverse. Both are adverse. So add up both. 204 plus 300. You will get 504 adverse. Check whether 504 adverse do we have or not. Yes, 504 adverse. MCV. Calculations are correct. Then MUV is equal to MMV plus MYV. MMV is 33.33 adverse and MYV is 266.67 adverse. Add up both, will get 300 adverse. Check MUV is 300 adverse or not. Yes, MUV is 300 adverse. That means our calculations are correct. So these are the two main long problems on material variances. In these two problems, we have done all the 5 variances: MCV, MPV, MUV, MMV and MYV. So if you are unable to understand in the first attempt, rewind the video, again watch second time and third time, definitely you can get the command. The problems depends on the formula and the practice. Only watching the video, you will not get the command. After watching the video, try to solve it yourself. Then you will get the complete command on the subject. So if you are satisfied with my lecture, give a like to the video. Share the channel in your groups, in your friend circle, so that more students can watch the video and enhance their knowledge. And give your comments on these videos. And lastly, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you have not yet subscribed. We'll continue the next problem in the next video.